What's going on, guys? It is DigiWatchTCG coming to you with another video. Now, I'm very excited because we are about to enter BT9, and I wanted to show you my upgrades to a couple of decks before we actually get into some other crazy decks. Now, I really am going to be trying something different this format. From now on, I'm going to be showing what my, I guess you could say, starting deck looks like versus what the end deck will look like. So I'm going to be doing this a lot for my competitive decks, and then I'll kind of slowly move down into the more lesser, like my kind of fun decks. Now, as of today, we actually got some news about the ban list, and that Jet Sylphie is going to be at 1, and Tommy is going to also be at 1. So I'm not going to be putting really any updates for just a few videos, only because I'm not 100% certain on what my build is going to look like at this time. With that said, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below. What should I see next? Now, I'm not going to make this video too long. I do want to kind of explain my choices, and as we go on, I'll explain some of the things I might consider putting in as well. So when we look at this here, it doesn't really look too different from what we normally play. We are playing the same eggs of the Demi 4 Demi Vs, as well as the Upamon. Additionally, we have 3 copies of Vmon and 3 copies of Labramon. Now, Labramon came out in EX2, and I thought it was really powerful to play just because you are playing in such a big jamming set of cards. And I definitely think it's really good. And I think you can play 3 pretty safe in this deck, because the only problem with this deck comes in the form of Lightramon, in that it cannot digivolve on like a Digimon that's not a Vmon, and obviously most of ours are. So Labramon is the odd one out. With that said, it's not really a huge issue, because most of the time, what I like to do is I'll hard drop usually a Vmon that lets you search for 3, or one of the other Vmons if I have extra copies of that, and then put the Labramon in Raising, so when I'm ready to, I can get it to the X Vmon when needed. So then we have our rookie count is pretty much 12 cards at this time. The only difference I might end up making, possibly, is putting in the jamming Vmon, because there's some really cool cards that you can use with the armors, but because we aren't using really too many armors, I'm still a little unsure of this, and I think that getting a draw 1 if you draw early on is definitely going to be more of a benefit than not. Going on to our champion lineup, we are looking at Lobomon, XVmon, and Stingmon. These things have not changed since the beginning of BT8. I think you still have to play 4 copies of the XVmon, 4 copies of the Stingmon, just being able to Jogress, and just being able to bounce 6,000 DP cards. I think that's going to definitely be something that is very relevant with a lot of the antibody decks. Now, some of them like to get up very high, and once they get into their level 5s, they really are, super strong. So I would just keep in mind that, they are going to be very big stacks, and if they do promote and put a level 4 out, then Lightramon is still a really efficient engine, as well as the Magnamon over here. Although with only 1 Lightramon, the max you could really go up to is about 9,000 DP as a blocker. Going into our level 5s is the Imperialdramon and the Dinobemon and the Chimeramon. This is pretty standard. I think that Chimeramon is going to be a very strong card in this format, just being able to DP reduce. It's the kind of strategy we've already known that Imperialdramon does, where you are able to DP reduce your opponent's stuff. So something that might be 14,000 goes down to 10,000, and you can bounce it back using the fighter mode. And then we have their dragon mode as well, so we got that too. In terms of our lineup here, we're playing a little bit of a different build now. So I think that Hammer Spark, actually, I might change a little bit. I'm not 100% certain on the ratio for this yet, but I'm pretty certain that Hammer Spark should still be played, even if it is something like 2. But with what my version of the deck is, I think it's going to definitely be still necessary to play. I might cut the memory boost, in all fairness, instead, just to have the fourth Hammer Spark for this deck, and I'll explain why when we get down to the little bit lower on this, because obviously right now what you're looking at is pretty standard for a deck, and I don't want to waste anyone's time, so I'm trying to go fast and try to give my overall thoughts on like the big things. Now, the big changes of the deck are going to be in the Tamers and the final option here, and that is Matt and Sora and Delicate Plan. Now, with these two cards here, they actually are very powerful in Imperialdramon, and I'll explain why. Well, Matt and Sora let you gain a memory if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, and you do so much searching and so much drawing with this deck, having the ability of the Jamming Vmon and the XVmon, sorry, and the Stingmon, just to be able to swing and gain a memory. And that was also another reason I was considering taking out this Vmon, even though you still get to draw one, having Digivolving onto the Demi Vmon, and just being able to swing at your opponent's security and not worry about any Digimon if you use the Jamming Vmon is very powerful and just gets you that extra draw, which is why I consider maybe playing this. Now, Sora and Matt is a really powerful card. As you can see here, it has the effect of starting main phase. If you have 8 or more cards in your hand, gain a memory. And if one of your opponents, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, gain a memory. Then if one of your red or blue Digimon becomes unsuspended, you can suspend this Tamer to return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. So, two things to talk about with this card over here, and that is, first off, it is a blue-red, which is very, very important because of this card over here, which is a Delicate Plan. Now, you play a Delicate Plan because basically having the ability to check into your opponent's security with jamming, that stops your opponent basically from playing any Digimon, or your Digimon losing to theirs in a battle is one thing, but also adding in a Delicate Plan basically means that options are also not going to activate, and I think that it's a super, super strong, powerful play to play the Delicate Plan and also play the Matt and Sora. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is because your Digimon so often becomes unsuspended, whether it's an armor, whether it's using the Ken Davis, or whether it's using another effect such as the Pyodramon, being able to unsuspend, and you get to also return one of your opponent's level 3 or lower level 3 Digimon to the owner's hand, is just really, really powerful. And that's why we're playing this ratio here. Now, I might change it around depending on when I actually play it and see if I pull the actual cards in time, or maybe I might have to up the amount of Soras and Mats, because again, this deck likes to draw, and so just having a card out that, like, Ken and Davis is kind of somewhat dependent on you having a certain amount of Digimon on the field, like in raising, so it's really required if you have a green or a blue in play. Whereas Matt and Sora is a little bit more friendly to each player in the fact that all you need to do is have 8 cards in hand, and unless you're playing a card that makes you mill a lot of cards, trash a lot of cards from your hand, then it's really powerful. And as you can see, that's really the only changes that come to this deck. Now, what I took out initially was I took out an Omnimon. Omnimon for game is always nice in this deck, and right now, like I said, it's a little hard to figure out what I would take out. Specifically, I think if I would consider taking out a Dino Beamon, but just having that extra 1000 DP boost that you can give to a Dragon or Fighter mode is also a very, very powerful effect. I don't know yet if Davis is such a good consistency card that I don't think I could take him out either, and Hidden Potential Discovered is just broken as well. Hammer Spark, sometimes you may need the extra memory just to be able to get to a Delicate Plan. Sometimes maybe you go down to 0 and you're not able to use your Delicate Plan, and I'd rather play the Hammer Spark than play Delicate Plan and not worry about anything. Now, this actually does a couple other things for the deck when you think about it. One thing a lot of people do is memory gain, especially in a mirror match or versus a type of deck that plays a lot of options. And having the ability to just play a Delicate Plan, swing into the security with no worries is just super powerful. And like I said, Pyodramon just being able to swing twice, Digivolving into something else, maybe going into a second Pyodramon, is just very powerful. Another card I was considering cutting was possibly like the Magnemon, but with this game being the way it is, I really think Magnemon is probably more of a stay in this deck. I don't think I can go any lower than what I have here as 12. I think 12 is a good consistent number. Even like 13 would have been a little bit better. Lobomon, you need hybrid for game, and unfortunately, Ice Wall is also really good. Just being able to put your opponent on hold, and if they have a possible game-winning move on their side. And like I said, Blue Memory Boost is sort of the unofficial 13th rookie, just being able to search you like whatever you need. But also playing the Blue Memory Boost does sometimes help you in a long term. So that's why right now, the way I built the deck, I took out an Omnimon. I think I took out, I'm trying to think, I took out a Lightramon over here. So there was two originally I was playing. It was two Lightramon and one Magnemon. And I also took out one Megadeth as well. Again, you're trying to just kind of OTK your opponent in one turn, and not having to worry too much about your security is also like a thing. And also, this is 5 costs, whereas you're playing 1 cost here. But that's what I have for you today. This is, again, it wasn't supposed to be too much of a long video. I did want to just talk about some of the choices and the thoughts going into BT9. I'm going to be testing this out, and then toward the end of the format, you'll see kind of what I shifted this deck to if I do choose to play it. I will be putting up possibly a Metal Garurumon deck next, because that is going to be my #1 competitive moving into the start of BT9, as well as a Magnemon X deck, which is going to be my other competitive, and then possibly a Black War Greymon deck. Again, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet with yellow. I don't really play green as much, so don't expect a green profile, unfortunately. I'll see if it comes to mind, it comes to mind. Trying to think if there's anything else for BT9. I will definitely be putting out an Alphamon deck profile soon. And that might be when I have the cards in hand or not, but because this weekend actually I am going to a couple of pre-releases, I might be actually able to update these decks and then show you guys the new decks. But before that happens, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below on what you'd like to see next. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.